Hello, today we're going to share on a very solemn feast day, the Pentecost Sunday, or the coming of the Holy Spirit. And here we see in the Acts of the Apostles, we see the Holy Spirit coming in tongues, and all the apostles and disciples here will receive the fire of tongues. And this is a symbol that they will be able to speak in different tongues through the Holy Spirit. So we will go right to the last part here. We will talk about, just now we skipped, but here we have the contents. Acts of the Apostles, and this is the early church, with the coming of the Holy Spirit. When the time for Pentecost was fulfilled, they were all in one place together. And suddenly there came from the sky a noise like a strong driving wind. And it filled the entire house in which they were, the apostles and disciples. Then there appeared to them tongues as of fire. And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit. That means the people in the house. And began to speak in different tongues. That means when they speak, different people of different languages could hear their own languages. And the Spirit enabled them to proclaim. That means the Spirit gave them courage to go out and preach. Now there were devout Jews from every nation under heaven staying in Jerusalem. And at this sound, they gathered in a large crowd outside. But they were confused because each one heard them speaking in his own language. The apostles and disciples could speak like that with the Holy Spirit. They were astounded, and in amazement they asked, "Are not all these people who are speaking Galileans?" So then how does each of us hear them in his own language, in his own native language? And here they say we are from different parts of the region, speaking different languages. And we are also travelers from Rome, both Jews and converts to Judaism, Cretans and Arabs. Yet we hear them speaking in our own tongues of the mighty acts of God. So at first, before this, they were in the house, and they did not go out into the open very much. But with the Holy Spirit, they got the courage to go out and preach the mighty acts of God. And the people could understand in their own tongues. So the Holy Spirit imbued the apostles and disciples of that early time with the courage to go out into the open, to spread the gospel, with the ability to speak in different tongues. So here is what happened at that time. Now we come to the Gospel of John, who would speak also of the Holy Spirit. On the evening of the first day of the week, when the doors were locked, where the disciples were for fear of the Jews, the disciples, Jesus had just died and buried and risen from the dead, but they did not know that too much. So they were afraid and they locked the doors, and they were afraid of the Jews. So they hid themselves. Jesus came and stood in their midst. This is the risen Christ. And he said to them, "Peace be with you." That's often his first words when he appeared to them after his resurrection. When he had said this, he showed them his hands and his side. So Jesus was crucified, and he wanted them to know that he's the same Jesus who was crucified. So he showed them the wounds of his hands and his side. The disciples rejoiced when they saw the Lord. So they knew it was Jesus, the risen Jesus. And this is the early church. Jesus said to them again, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, so I send you." So here Jesus was giving them something to do. And when he had said this, he breathed on them and said, "Receive the Holy Spirit." So the Holy Spirit is often connected with wind or the breath. So here it is St. John, the Gospel speaks about Jesus' breath, breathing on them and giving them the Holy Spirit. And Jesus said and when he had said this, he breathed on them and said to him, "Receive the Holy Spirit. Whose sins you forgive are forgiven them." So here Jesus established the sacrament of penance, the power to forgive sins. And the power, and to show that the power is great, whose sins you retain are retained. So the main thing is to forgive. But here, if it is necessary not to forgive, then you have to speak it out that you still have to do something to be forgiven. So as St. John, the above is the establishment of the sacrament of penance. The Holy Spirit is involved in all 7 sacraments, in baptism, confirmation, etc. We must remember the Holy Spirit is involved. Here 1 Corinthians will talk about the variety connected with the Holy Spirit. No one can say Jesus is Lord except by the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit helps us to believe in Jesus and to say Jesus is the Lord. There are different kinds of spiritual gifts, but the same Spirit. So the Spirit can give different spiritual gifts, but it would be the same Spirit. One and the same Spirit. There are different forms of service, but the same Lord. So here we see Corinthians speaking about the different differences and also the unity in differences. Different forms of service, same Lord. Different workings, but the same God, who produces all of them in everyone. As a body is one through, though it has many parts, and all the parts of the body, though many, are one body, so also Christ. So we must remember that variety, plurality, but unity. For in one Spirit we were all baptized into one body. Whether Greeks, Jews or Greeks, slaves or free persons, and we are all given to drink of one Spirit, who produces all of them in everyone. Now we come to the Pope Francis encyclical, ecological encyclical. This time we will look into section 68. We have already gone through several sections, and this time we're going to go through section 68, which is a very, very important section that we must remember and follow, and understand and follow. This responsibility for God's earth means that human beings endowed with intelligence must respect the laws of nature. Human beings must respect the laws of nature, must respect nature, and the delicate equilibria existing between the creatures of this world. So we as humans must note and understand the earth, which is part of God's creation. For He commanded that they were created, and they were created, and He established them forever and ever. So God created the earth. He fixed their bounds, their limits. They have their limits. They have their limits. And He set a law which cannot pass away. And this law, like all continually continued sustainability and continuing to develop. Okay. The laws found in the Bible dwell on relationships, not only among individuals. Relationships not only among individuals, but also with other living beings. Not only among humans, but also other living beings. You shall not see your brother's donkey or his ox fallen down by the way and withhold your help. So you have to help your brother's donkey or ox. We must not only help one another, but also the donkeys and ox that serve us. If you chance to come upon a bird's nest in any tree or on the ground, with young ones or eggs, and the mother sitting upon the young or upon the eggs, if we found these nests with the mother and the young ones and the eggs, you should not take the mother with the young. Then you should not take away the nest. You should respect and care for the nest. Although these same lines rest in the seventh day, on the seventh day, is meant not only along these same lines. If we understand these things, then we must also understand rest on the seventh day is meant not only for human beings, but also that your ox and your donkey may have rest. So the animals that serve us must also have their rest. Remember this, it's very important. Clearly the Bible has no place for a tyrannical anthropocentrism, only humans, only caring for humans, and just making use of other things as we like, unconcerned for other creatures. Anthropocentrism, we must avoid this very much. Now we come to Pope Leo XIV. At his inauguration Mass, he received the pallium and the ring. This is the pallium, and the pallium, this is the pallium put over his shoulders. He received this and it was put over his shoulders. The pallium is a papal emblem woven from the wool of lambs, decorated with 6 black crosses, these crosses, 1 near each end and 4 spaced out around the neck loop. It symbolizes the wearer's role as a good shepherd, just like having Jesus carrying a sheep around his neck and looking for the lost sheep and finding it and carrying it back over his shoulders. It symbolizes the wearer's role as a good shepherd. So the Pope it indicates the Pope needs to be a good shepherd, caring for his flock just as Jesus did. Then the second thing that the Pope Leo the 14th received is the ring of the fisherman. This is the ring of the fisherman, with the Pope Leo XIV's name here. And this cardinal, he is receiving it from this cardinal to help him wear it. And here he was very, he looked at the ring with deep emotion. This ring authenticates the faith and symbolizes the duty with which the first Pope was entrusted. As Peter is known as the fisherman apostle, the ring is referred to as the ring of the fisherman, or the piscatory ring, ring of the fisherman, symbolizing the continuous lineage from the first Pope to the day. That means he cares for the church and so it symbolizes that he takes over from St. Peter as the Pope. So here we give some succinct points for us to consider and understand. God bless.